Hi, welcome to Create with Mrs. Carr. This is part 2 of our grizzly bear project for 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So we have our project that we already created. That was in the first video. We have our 2 bears and we are going to learn how to use watercolors. Watercolors means that you actually need to use water. So I had a little girl yesterday in class say, Mrs. Carr, my paint isn't working, and it was because she wasn't putting water on her brush to add to the paint to make it work. And sometimes the watercolors could look different than this. We have some containers at my house that are like round and they have so it doesn't have to look exactly like this. If you don't have watercolors, go ahead, and if you don't have any colors on your paper, you can color it with crayons or colored pencils. Those work awesome. So this lesson really is to concentrate on watercolors. Okay, so what I'm going to start with is, maybe I'm just going to start with the baby bear. I'm going to dip into my water and the brown, and I'm going to make my baby bear. This is a grizzly bear. I'm going to make him brown. So if you start painting and you cannot see your Sharpie anymore, that might be for a couple reasons. Maybe you don't have enough water on your brush, or maybe there's too much water, and that might seem kind of confusing. But like if you've been using your watercolors a lot and you're like, oh, this isn't going very well, I can always have tissue paper by me or a paper towel or something, and I can touch it and some of the watercolor comes off on this. And so if it seems a little too dark somewhere, you can do that. Okay, so for the mom, I want to make her lighter than the baby. So what I'm going to do is dip into my water. I really like the color white if you're using watercolors. Some sets, like look at this set, it doesn't have white in it. And so you really couldn't do it if you don't have a white, but it's not the end of the world. Just go for it. This, I'm going to dip into the brown and the white and just make this color lighter than just the regular brown. So if I start painting the mom, you can see how the mom and the baby are 2 different colors. And that's kind of fun. You don't have to have it like that. They can be the same. This is just for you to like kind of learn that you can blend colors together. Okay. So dip back in. This already has some water in it from when I was mixing. And it's kind of cool to have some of the bear look darker and some of the bear look lighter, because in nature, not everything is always looking the same. Like the light might be hitting it in different spots. There might be shadows. Okay, so I've got my mom and my baby. Okay, so maybe like this part and this part could be a little bit different. Maybe I just want to go into the brown now and make this look a little different. In most of my projects though, this part I actually made lighter and the bear darker. Let me show you this. So this one, I did kind of opposite. I made her darker and this lighter, and I did this lighter and this darker. It's really up to you how you want it to look. Also, to make something more gray, you would add a little bit of black to it to make it more gray, okay? So you also can, if you have a couple different size brushes, you can use the big one for bigger areas and the small one for smaller areas. So for the nose and the eyes, I think I want to do it with my smaller brush. Okay. And the eyes, I did black eyes on these, but you could do blue or green if you wanted to. I don't think that real grizzly bears really have blue and green eyes. All the pictures I was looking at, they don't, but that's kind of fun to have them blue, or they could be black. It's totally up to you. Okay, so this fish is a salmon, and bears love salmon. There's different parts of the year where there's a lot of salmon and they love to go and get in the water and capture them. I think it's like one of their favorite meals is to eat salmon. Salmon might look orange. That's how I'm going to paint my fish. So remember, you have to have water. Here we go. My salmon's orange. Awesome. Okay, so now we could move on to the water. I'm going to put some water on my brush and start with the blue. Now, sometimes water looks not just blue. It could look like it has some green in it. It could look like more aqua. It could look darker. Maybe it has some like purple or even tan if it's like maybe kind of like you can see the ground through the water. So I'm going to start with the blue and go all over where my water is. Notice that I'm not going up. So this picture, yours could look totally different than mine, and maybe you don't have water or fish in your project, and that is okay. So notice that I didn't touch where the land is. So let me get my example out again. And here's my land, and I haven't touched that at all. But maybe I want to mix a little bit of green and a little bit of blue to make it more like there's some other colors in there. And I don't have to go over the whole thing. It's just giving it like some different colors that makes it look interesting. Okay, and some parts of the water could look darker than others. Okay, I think that looks okay. Maybe a little bit more blue right there. Perfect. Okay, so I've done my water. And if I like it, I can move on to something else. We could go to the land. This land has green in it. It also has a little bit of brown in it and some white. So here I go. I'm going to dip into my green. Maybe it's really bright green grass, but you don't have to have it all be like that. Look, I just touched the bear. I can get my tissue out and get some of that green off. So you can use tissue when you use watercolor, and it works pretty well. Notice I keep dipping back into the water. Don't forget to have water on your brush. Okay. Now, maybe I want to add a little bit of my tan because the ground, you can see some of the dirt through it. Maybe the grass, maybe the ground just has some of that brown undertones in it. That means like it's just doesn't look completely green. Maybe part of it has some dead grass spots. That might actually be some yellow. If I add yellow in there, actually that might make it look really interesting too. And maybe it looks kind of more lime green in some certain spots. Okay, so I've just blended not only in my lid, but on my paper. That's kind of cool. So maybe the sky, there could be a stormier sky. So we could take some black, dip into my water, and some blue. Because a stormy sky would look more grayish blue, okay? And maybe some white. Ooh, this might look kind of cool. It looks more grayish. I can dip back into the black. And notice I just grab colors as I go. Everybody's will look totally different, what colors they grab and how they decide to do their project. And that's awesome. Okay. So here we go. There's my project. This project looks way different than this one, but they're both kind of fun. I like them. You might think maybe I need to go back and do some spots. That would be up to you. You can go back and change anything as you go. You can paint on top of other paint. That's what's really fun about watercolors. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this and that it made a lot of sense. Don't forget water with watercolors. Bye.